Hey guys, it's Robert from Owlempires.com. This is going to be the second video of the walkthrough series. In this particular one we are going to talk about the Maserati Ghibli render, and just as in the previous video, I'm going to talk about the backplate preparation. Then we will head into 3ds Max to look at the settings, although it's going to be pretty similar to the Mercedes one, and then we will go into post-processing the final image. That's going to be a bit more interesting because I just couldn't match the car paint the way I wanted, and by that I mean that the lighting just looked all off every single time. So what I did is I ended up rendering multiple images, and then I just basically like composed all together. So let's begin. Alright, we're in Photoshop right now. This is what the original backplate looked like. Now, I did not like this scenario because if I don't want to render the backside of the car, I would have had to add the vehicle on this lane, and that would mean that the car is just too close to the camera. It's blocked by the grass. The perspective would be kind of weird looking. So I decided to solve it rather quick and simple. I just basically flip the image horizontally. This way I can put the vehicle on this lane, it goes in the right direction, and composition is going to look a lot better. Okay, so as usual, how I start, I add a slight color correction to the image. As you can see, I lowered the temperatures, so the road is more blue and everything is a bit more blue, and that's pretty much what I did. I never want to go too deep with the color correction right before rendering the vehicle, because I know that I'm gonna do a lot of color correction when the car is already in it, so it's just an extra job that really doesn't need to be done. After that I added a blur. No, actually sorry, I actually masked out this part. I added some more water. Basically I just cut off that bush there. There's a really nice brush in Photoshop. It's by default. It looks like grass, and it's perfect for masking such areas. And you can see from here you cannot really tell that it's just a simple default brush from Photoshop. So that was pretty nice. Now here I added the motion blur. As you can see, the motion blur is only on basically on the road and grass that is close to the camera, and everything that's like ridiculously far, like this part, is untouched. In real life these might not get blurred at all, or if they do, really slightly. I decided not to touch them. It just looked a lot better like this. For this, by the way, I used the blur gallery with a pad blur. That's pretty great in the newer versions of Photoshop. And what's even better, that I can actually just like double click on the smart filter and I can modify it without having to redo the blur again and again and again. And I can even like turn it off if I want to. That's pretty great. And what I did after that is I took care of some annoying pieces. As you can see, there were some buildings that I didn't really like. They were standing out too much, and I solved the grass here so it doesn't go down all of a sudden. It was kind of ruining the composition itself. And basically this is everything I've done to it. Now let's go into 3ds Max and look at the scene a bit. Alright, here we are in 3ds Max. First of all, the HDRI that I was using had the sun, which casted proper shadows, but since I had to change the overall strength of the HDRI to get proper reflections on the car, it ended up casting a really dark shadow, which I didn't like at all. So I was just thinking how to solve that without actually touching the HDRI itself. So I came up with a method. I basically added a sun, the biggest size possible, toned down the Kelvin temperature, and included it only for the ground plane. Okay, so this sun does not hit anything else, only the ground plane. Now you can see if I turn it off, my shadows get super dark, but once I turn it on, it softens out, and I was really happy with that. Alright, let's talk about the render settings really fast. Backplate width and height is matched with the output size. I use denoising amount of 0.3, however you can change this later if you want to. I would not suggest going higher because it will ruin your car paint. These are pretty much as they were originally, and that's pretty much it. The render elements are nothing important either. Word position ID and albedo. That's pretty much the ones I always use. Okay, let's go to the material editor. I did quite a mess here with the car paint. I had two car paints that I made. It was this one and this one, and I really like them both, yet I wasn't sure which one to go with. So instead of making a third one, I just simply ended up blending these together, and as you can see, 60% mix amount. It gave me a really nice lighting, or sorry, really nice highlights on the car, and also it gave me a nice depth, so I just ran with that. However, later you will see in the post-processing video that I ended up rendering multiple images where I was rotating the HDRI around. So actually really nothing else to show here. Let's go to Photoshop now. This is the final render. It was exported from Corona and I haven't touched it since. So at the beginning of the video I told you that I am not entirely happy of how this looks like, and I will end up composing multiple renders. So I will only grab the lights and shadows from particular renders and mask it on this vehicle. So as you can see, here's the first layer. It's an entirely different render. This is what it looked like, and I really like the top part here and the part from the hood, so I only kept that one. Next one was basically lighting up this side. There you go. This one was actually, I think it's a different HDRI, it's not the one from the same location, but it still matches up pretty well. So there you go, you can see the difference there. Then I added some adjustment layers. These are, as you can see, by the way, every layer here has a mask layer too, and you can see that they show up only on a particular spot. That's why I really did this whole process here. Here goes the front part and two more adjustment layers. The last one is basically just an overall. And that was pretty much it. At this point I turned it into 16 bits and I started working on it here. Okay, so this is what it looked like before. Here I added I grouped these layers. I called it pre-composition. In the previous video with the Mercedes, I already went through all these, so I really didn't felt the need to do it again. But in short, what I did, I added the caustics that were rendered with manta ray. I added some glimmer here and there and some correction, and that's pretty much it. The next group again is just gonna correct some highlights, some shadows, and basically add some sort of a flare or glare here on the image. That really helps me to frame the image, and basically my vehicle is on focus. Now here comes the fun part. However, I composed this car paint from multiple renders. I still found that it looks too flat, and by looking at reference images, I realized that the Ghibli car paint, this blue car paint, is a lot more darker. So I basically added a curve adjustment layer, and I toned it down so it's darker. Then with the mask layer, I basically just painted where I want them darker with a really soft brush. So you can see it really added a nice depth to the car paint. And after that, I basically added some more color corrections. I touched the car paint once more, make it a bit brighter there, and basically blend this part in. And that was pretty much it. I was also kind of considering of making the wheels black for a while, but yeah, at the end I just decided to go with the original ones. This, by the way, is a simple curve masked out only on the wheels. And that's pretty much it. Nice and fast.